So we were founded in 2006. We're the largest formally recognized group in the Northeast, actually on the East Coast, as really scored by the EPA. We report everything. You have to. There's a law. You have to report any scattering at sea or a full body burial within 30 days. We do it usually within 30 hours. Why not just do it, push the button, and go ahead and file that. We have 28 different vessels that we use from Maine to Miami, and we work with funeral homes, crematories. We advertise through the internet, Yankee Magazine, radio, maybe soon to be television, and we have a very robust website called New England Burials at Sea. Let me see if I can play this here, and if not, I'm not a Mac guy, so do you?
Hello, I'm Captain Brad, founder of New England Burials at Sea. Our trained crew conducts a dignified ash scattering service that is beautiful and affordable, customized to your wishes and preferences. We can accommodate intimate families up to 6 or larger groups to 400 guests. From Maine to Miami, prices start at under $400, and we are fully licensed and insured.
Hi, Cynthia here to share with you that the many sea burial tributes I have crewed on are more beautiful than you could ever imagine. Memories of a lifetime are created. I recommend giving us a try to anyone who wants an easy and affordable sea burial for a loved one.
Hi folks, Alan Williams here to tell you that I personally selected New England Burials at Sea to carry out my final sea burial wishes. I like the company, found it compassionate, and to be good listeners. My family will also be comforted too because they will look at the water and they'll always see me.
I'd be honored to be of service to you and your family, so please visit us online to learn more at newenglandburialsatsea.com. Again, that's newenglandburialsatsea.com.
The gentleman that just spoke, his name is Alan Williams. He's a pre-need. Well, first there's pre-need, you're alive. Then there's at-need, you just died. Then there's post-need, you're dead. We get a lot of post-need calls, I'll come back to that. But that's Alan Williams, former president of Gillette's sales division worldwide. Great guy, but time's not on his side. So he came last year, I'm sorry. His daughter works for Dunkin' Donuts, came with a 5-pound thing of coffee. I said, let's chat. So we sat down, had a cup of coffee in Humrock, and he said, I don't want that no good son-in-law of mine talking at my event. And I said, okay. So we have to also be psychologists in addition to maritime planners. Next slide, please. So we have a social responsibility. A lot of people call it green. We have a social responsibility page. We want to offer respectful, memorable, and affordable sea burial tributes that are environmentally conscientious, and we want to basically follow the rules. We want to ensure that they're done properly, and we want to share the vision like we are right now. Yesterday I spoke with 110 students at their academy. I educated over 350 funeral directors back in October because they have to have continuing education credits to get their license re-upped every year by October 31st. So we are not doing something new. We've just taken out a 300-year-old file, blown the dust off it, gussied it up, and made it really professional. And we do a really nice job. We're very proud of it. And that's all we do, full-time. Next slide, please. We promote a low carbon footprint. People want low carbon footprint. They call us all the time. So 20 or 30 years elapsed in my life, and I was out chartering and taking somebody tuna fishing, and they said, hey, can you spread Uncle Chuck's ashes? I said, sure. So we went out, we spread his ashes, his cremated remains, drinking champagne, they were smoking cigars, they were memorializing his life, and I said, hey, I can do this. This is honorable. It's easier. It's not sad. So that's how New England Burials at Sea started, because one became 20, became a few hundred, and now we're the go-to brand company for this business. So we decided to have people involved. We talked about this, being involved with the event, which is really important because, as Joe said, you can have any type of service you want, but I really promote people being involved. Reading, singing, playing the guitar, listening to music. One family came aboard and had a bottle of, a mom liked Johnny Walker Blue Scotch. So each one had a $200 bottle of scotch they poured over the side. I couldn't say anything. Another family came and they threw a stick because Mom always threw a stick for the Labrador Retriever. I encourage people to do things like that. We use organic products that, where possible. We recycle paper, ink. We carpool where practical. We have a door-to-shore program. We pick people up, bring them to the vessel. So one, it's like an airplane. You know, the boat leaves at 8, it leaves at 8. If Uncle Fred's driving around the Southeast Expressway at 8:15, the plane left, the boat left. So we bring them in by bus. Why? One, it lowers the carbon footprint. The culture wants that. Two, everybody gets there, including Uncle Fred. And three, if they enjoy a drink or two, they get back safely and not, we don't have people driving on the roads. That's why we encourage that. We use the digital storage of files, and we pay vendors electronically when we can. Next slide, please. This is how it was done in World War I and II. We've upgraded that. A little different. But what they did is when you died on the ship, they put you in what? Who said hammock? Okay. In your hammock. And how'd they stitch the hammock up? What's that?
Fishing line?
They stitched it with regular stitching line, and the last stitch went where? Through your nose, so you weren't faking it. Because if you were faking it, you'd scream, right? Some people didn't want to be in the service. We'll talk about our shroud in a minute, but that's how we've upgraded the shroud. It's a very true story. Next slide, please. Anybody can be buried at sea. It doesn't have to be a military person. Men, women, pets, religion, creed, sex, we don't care. We invite everybody. They're beautiful, they're respectful, and they're memorable. That was our first full-body burial at sea with Michael Tesolowski right here. He was 6'3", 300 pounds, all muscle because he was a bodybuilder. We used his barbells. And when I looked at the photographs after, I said, boy, that's ugly. I mean, again, I'm a merchant, marketing guy and develop product. And I said, what we can do is something a lot better than barbells. So we went to the original cannonball. This is a cannonball made by the same factory that makes cannonballs in Whitman for Old Ironsides. That's a 9-pounder. We use a 37-pounder. So we use cannonballs to weight the bodies down. The federal law is, and the state law, and the Coast Guard law, and the EPA law, and the Navy law is 150 pounds. We use 155. You have to go out to 600 feet of water in 3 miles, or 3 miles in, 600 feet. Here, that's 27 miles out. We go 35 miles out. Why not? Better to go deeper, better to be safer, because we don't want any botched sea burials, which I'll tell you about. Next, please. This is about how many are reported to the EPA. There's probably 7 times this many that are not reported to the EPA. There are 7 EPA offices. Why are people choosing burial at sea? It's a different culture. We'll get into that shortly. Next slide, please. Is it legal? Yes. 3 calls we get every time we get the phone rings. Is it legal? I didn't know how to do it, didn't know who to call, didn't know where to call. So your robust website, like our robust website, they read it and they say, sign me up. And we say, well, let's talk a little bit about this. It's not drive-through. We can custom design it. So the rule is 3 miles to sea. And why is that rule 3 miles to sea? Does anybody know?
Continental shelf?
Nope.
International waters?
International waters? Nope.
I would say.
Same as the trash rules?
You got it.
Yeah.
The EPA controls ocean dumping. We would never say ocean dumping to a family. You're going to put Uncle Fred, you're going to dump him in the ocean? It's controlled by the EPA. I can tell you something super secret, but I'm not going to tell you the secret. We're working on something to be able to move that into 3 miles. Because in California, they all know their legislators, and they go only 500 yards from shore. Why? 300 a week. In and out, in and out, in and out. They bring 10, 15 families at a time in and out, in and out, in and out. We don't want to do that. We do individual families. We go out, but because they were in and out so frequently, they don't want to go the 3 miles. So they wrote and they got the law changed in California. Next slide, please. How much do things cost today? Average funeral just came out. The numbers just came out, Paul. $7,500 for the average funeral and almost $10,000. My father's funeral on September 10th of this year was $30,000. Why was it $30,000? It wasn't because the funeral was $30,000. The funeral was $15,000. The catering was $15,000. What a racket. The average USA cremation is $1,200 to $3,000. If you know I like a deal, and I like deals, and I croak right here, and I say, Paul, put me in the back of your Subaru and bring me to the Forest Hills Crematory, how much is that going to cost? Not the $1,200 to $3,000. How much will that cost?
Just for cremation?
About $400. Duck spray, $250. Do you know that nobody knows that? And that's okay. It's called business.
Yeah, last year was 230, that's right.
But when you go for $230 if you bring me down in the Subaru, and Paul's done that. He had a guy bring his wife with the legs out the back of the Subaru, and you can do that. That's how much it costs versus the retail. Burials at sea are about a third of that of the retail today. Next, please.